Please join me in saying, life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
Hi, and welcome to Worship with First Church. My name is Chris Holton Jablonski, and it is my great joy and my deep honor to serve you as your minister and to welcome you to another wonderful worship service. It has come to my attention recently that I always say that it's a special service, but it is also always true. Today we get to hear from Richard Waring, who's part of our worship committee and has served as a youth advisor and has served on our nominating committee. Richard is all over the place and serves the church so wonderfully. And one of his great passions is Star Island, and through Star Island, Celia Thaxter. So today we get to hear all about Celia Thaxter and some of her beautiful writings and the Isles of Shoals and all of that. And as a special Father's Day treat, we also have some music from his son, Sam. So in addition, this is our very first summer service with our new summer team. I am so grateful for all of our summer worship production team from last year who have come back together. I get to work with Richard Kersey, with Valentin Frank, and his papa, Stefan Frank. And I'm so grateful for the three of them, and so grateful for all of these great services that we have lined up and that we're working on for you all for this summer. So do please enjoy. And as a special treat with our flag flying in the background, I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who made Pride such a wonderful event on the 12th. So many people came and it made such a difference, and sort of holding, celebrating, cherishing, witnessing, and it was a beautiful event. So thank you so much for everybody who helped out with that, and we look forward to another wonderful Pride next year, and lots of great events and lots of good work to help build this world that we know can be between now and then. But for now, come, let us worship together.
Feel the deep power of being in Of Mollusks by Sarton. As the tide rises, the closed mollusk opens a fraction to the ocean's food, bathed in its riches. Do not ask what force would do, or if force could. A knife is of no use against a fortress. You might break it to pieces as gulls do. No, only the rising tide in its slow progress opens the shell. Lovers, I tell you true, you who have held yourselves so hard, so closed, against warm sun and wind, shelled up in fears, and hostile to a touch or tender word. The ocean rises, salt as unshed tears. Now you are floated on this gentle flood that cannot force or be forced. Welcome food, salt as your tears, the rich ocean's blood. Eat, rest, be nourished on the tide of love.
This is the time in our service where we invite forward an offering to help support the good work of the church and our partners in the wider world. This month, all month, we're sharing our offering with Belmont Against Racism, a wonderful organization you probably know about, but who helps work to further human rights and anti-racism and inclusivity here in our town. And so if you'd like to make an online offering, you can text the word offering to 617-819-8168. We are so deeply grateful for all you are about to give.
The Wordpainter of Appledore Island, an appreciation of Celia Thaxter. She writes, Ever since I could remember anything, flowers have been like dear friends to me, comforters, inspirers, powers to uplift and cheer. A lonely child, living on the lighthouse island, every blade of grass, every humblest weed, was precious in my sight, and I began a little garden when not more than 5 years old. Take a poppy seed in your palm, the merest atom of matter, hardly visible, a speck, a pin's point in bulk, but within is a spirit of beauty ineffable, which breaks its bonds and emerges and blossoms in a splendor so dazzling as to baffle all powers of description. The very sight of flowers lifts and refreshes the human heart, and for their odor, flowers are like the spirit of romance, sweet as youth's tender dreams. They are summer's very soul. Celia Leighton Thaxton was born in Portsmouth in 1835. When she was 4, her father, Thomas Leighton, became the lighthouse keeper on White Island in New Hampshire. 8 years later, he resigned his keeper job and built a large hotel on Appledore Island off of Portsmouth in Maine. It was the first resort of its kind and became a gathering place for the literary and artistic greats of New England, including Nathaniel Hawthorne, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and most significantly, Childe Hassam. At 16, Celia married Levi Thaxter, her father's business partner and later her tutor. After 10 years of marriage and 3 sons, Levi's poor health forced them to live mostly apart. While on the mainland, they lived in Watertown, Massachusetts, then in what is now called the Celia Thaxter House near the Charles River in Newtonville. Her first published poem in the Atlantic Monthly was about this time on the mainland when she yearned for the stark beauties of her island life. It was called Landlocked and earned her $10. It ends, "O earth, thy summer song of joy may soar, ringing to heaven in triumph. I but crave the sad, caressing murmur of the wave that breaks in tender music on the shore." Celia was better known in her day than Emily Dickinson and had a mutual admirer in Thomas Wentworth Higginson. In fact, when Emily tried to publish with a Boston publisher, the editors told her they already had a female poet, Celia Thaxter. William Morris Hunt, a close family friend, spent his last months on Appledore, trying to recover from a crippling depression. He drowned in the late summer of 1879, 3 days after finishing his last sketch. Celia discovered his body where he took his own life. She was also present at the time of the infamous axe murders on Smutty Nose and wrote an essay called "A Memorable Murder, a Milestone in American True Crime Writing." The story became the basis for The Weight of Water, Anita Shreve's 1997 novel, and the movie that followed in 2000, directed by Catherine Bigelow and starring Sean Penn, Elizabeth Hurley, and Sarah Polley. Celia knew the 2 women gruesomely murdered and was among the first to arrive at the side of the lone survivor. It made national news as the most notorious axe murder case in New England history. That is, until Lizzie Borden's father and stepmother received their infamous 40 whacks. Celia died suddenly while on Appledore and is buried not far from her cottage, which burned in the 1914 fire that destroyed the Appledore House Hotel. The flames from that fire were so hot that wind carried the heat across Gosport Harbor, melting the paint on the Oceanic Hotel on Star Island, and might have destroyed the beloved hotel as well, if not for the quick actions of the staff. As much as I admire Celia's poetry, it remains somewhat confined to its time. So I was stunned when I came upon An Island Garden, her prose account of her cutting garden of old-fashioned flowers that she wrote while suffering from angina, and got published just a few months before her death at 58. Her arrangements, done in many small bottles and vases, filled her living room and decorated the hotel. The plants in her garden were arranged not by color, but by height, with the minutest of details, a superfine attention to climatic changes. She was a realist in word painting, while at the same time possessing the glow and imagination of an impressionist. Childe Hassam once described her cottage by saying it was like living inside a rainbow. The very act of planting a seed in the earth, she writes, has in it to me something beautiful. Often I wake in the night and think how the rains and the dews have reached to the dry shell and softened it, how the spirit of life begins to stir within. She describes a July drought when all things pine and suffer for the healing touch of rain. The patient flowers seem to be standing in hot ashes with the air full of fire above them. She cherishes the most mundane tasks. I like to take the hoe in my hands and break to pieces the clods of earth left by the overturning spade, to work into the soil the dark, velvet smooth, scentless barn manure that is to furnish the best food for my flowers. About a California poppy, she writes, it is held upright upon a straight and polished stem, its petals curving upward and outward into a cup of light, pure gold with a lustrous satin sheen. It is not enough that the powdery anthers are orange bordered with gold. They are swirled about the very heart of the flower like a revolving Catherine wheel of fire. In the center of the anthers is a shining point of warm sea green, a last consummate touch that makes the beauty of the blossom supreme. About her island salon, she writes, year after year, a long procession of charming people come and go within its doors, and the flowers that glow for their delight seem to listen with them to the music that stirs each blossom upon its stem. How many people have been happy there and gone out of it and of the world forever? Yet still the summers come, the flowers bloom, are gathered and adored. About a summer storm, she writes, these clouds grow and grow, showing like alpine summits amid the shadowy heaps of vapor. All the great vault of heaven gathers darkness. Then over the coastline of the sky turns a hard gray green, against which rises with solemn movement and awful deliberation an arch of leaden vapor, livid, threatening, its outer edges shaped like the curved rim of a mushroom. Thunder rolls, peal upon peal, as faster and faster the wild arch moves upward into tremendous heights above our heads. The whole sky is dark with threatening purple. A single sail gleams chalk white in the gloom, a sail that even as we look is furled away, that it may ride out the gale under bare poles, or drive before it to some haven of safety. Lightning scorches the sky. Continually the tempest is shot through with the leaping lightning and crashing thunder, echoing and re-echoing through the vast empty spaces of the heavens. At last, one whole heart rises, responding to the glory and the beauty of the storm, and is grateful for the delicious refreshment of the rain. At summer's end, she writes, the season is so divinely tranquil and sweet. All things are so beautiful in and about the little isle, from the gleaming seal that emerges from the waves to sun himself sometimes on the seaweed-covered rocks, to the smallest flower that blossoms in my garden, from the wondrous jellyfish that spreads its diaphanous cup, expanding and contracting as it swims, and colored like a great melting opal in the pale green water, to the bright-eyed bats that flit at dusk when the evening star is sparkling above the rich red of the sunset sky. And so the ripe year wanes. From turfy slopes afar the breeze brings delicious, pungent, spicy odors from the wild, everlasting flowers. And the mushrooms are pearly in the grass. I gathered the seed pods in the garden beds, sharing their bounty with the birds I love so well, but there are enough and to spare for us all. Soon will set in the fitful weather, with fierce gales and sullen skies and frosty air, and it will be time to tuck up safely my roses and lilies, and the rest for their long winter sleep beneath the snow, where I never forget them, but ever dream of their wakening in happy summers yet to be.
Spirit of life, come
We close today with these words by Mark Bellatini. Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourselves. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers, and stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave peace for all people in the world, beginning with yourselves. And go as you go, with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. Amen.